Hello everyone. For this particular challenge, we will be working on experimenting with a different background colors and choosing what's best for our project. So let's explore some inspirations. I picked up some inspirations from Mobin and some other platforms this time. Here we have Adobe Express, and let's pick what background color they are using. So I just clicked on a layer which can be rectangle or frame, and I pressed I to pick the color, and here I am just picking that color. So by the base color, Adobe background, Adobe Express is using is of course white. But if I click here, I will see that they are using a little gray color. They have slightly moved from 100 to 97 in brightness. And look how this color looks slightly different and creates a good vibe. Now, another thing. So here you can see the noticeable difference. Here they are using wrong file. Here they're using a little bit of pink. Of course, they are not using this. You can see like this exact shade of pink because you see there is a blur applied. But let's still pick up some colors. So all of these colors are in background and they are creating a personality for this screen. I liked this one a lot. That's why I added here. So only three colors, I guess. Yeah, only three colors. And their primary color is blue, but you can see how much of a personality they have added with the one, changing some background colors, creating to create some hierarchy in the layers, and then creating this mesh gradient to highlight some of the items. Now, if I bring my swatch here, I see that this here we have email design, and it is white. Sweet, like we can pick the color and check this is white color. But if we go here, we see there is a slight gradient they have applied. So from this side, it is blue. I am, instead of making the gradient, I'm just picking the other side of color. So here we have it a little purple, slight different, but it adds a personality if you want to make an element stand out. Like here they are using a screenshot of their app and adding this gradient to make it stand out. Now here you can see like they are using two blobs to on a white surface to highlight this search bar they have created. Then we have this ID app. By the way, this is Fresha. You can check their landing page. This is ID mood board. This is an app, and here again they want to highlight some elements, and they have added some mesh gradient in the background. And here this is a beautiful example of a Spring chatbot, and they just added a blob on the top, matching their uh, brand color or logo color. And here we have a bigger screenshot for Adobe Express, and you can see they have created a whole section of background here using mesh gradient. So we now will experiment with some color stuff. So first, let's explore what exactly we can. So initially, when you are starting to, learn, uh, easiest way to learn art or creative stuff is to start from white background, like we used to draw on the white background copies with all the colors available, because with white we don't have to worry about it pairing with some other uh, color. White is the potato color. It matches with everything almost, not with the light ones. So yeah, I said almost. Uh, so here what we are doing. So let's focus what we are doing here. So I added a white background. White background means FFF, pure white. And whatever color you decide to, you know, give your colors, you can just simply add it. So if even if I had my this color, we don't need to worry about changing the background color. It should just work fine. And even honestly, if you do this, so my pink color requires a dark color text, so that also will work. Of course, I will have to adjust my secondary button, but still, you see, with the white background, the art becomes easier. And there is another interesting thing. So if you keep a white clean background, you can add more depth and like shadows and texture and other stuff which make the design heavy on the top elements. So if your background is clean, you can have these details in your button. So look at this, we used our buttons and they don't look problematic. And since we are talking about backgrounds, there is this situations, so we don't always use just one background. So if you go give a material designer read on elevation topic, and read how many levels of backgrounds there are. So there are 5 levels of background, and meaning the screen is the resting place. Let's assume, like in our design, we want this to be the level 1 screen, and we can have more layers on the top. So so imagine the 3D world, they won't be just stick to each other. They will have a distance between all these layers. So based on how we uh, want the light to be, imagined on our screen, the upper layers will start to change colors. So give the elevation topic on material design 2 and 3 a little read, and you will understand some more details, like some scientific side of it. So let's see that in action. So if I have like my background white and now I want to add a search bar, I would want to either do this, like have the same bar in F white color, and then I will need some stroke of noticeable gray color like this. So that will be, I'm removing this to show you. So that we can do, but this doesn't work like having strokes around every element. They just don't work. Imagine this is our search bar, then we have a card, and then we have another card, and all of these just lot of shadows, sorry, border. And the other thing we can do is to add shadows. Again, you see, even if I make them light, that's a lot of shadows. So we don't need to add these two things or a lot of elements. So the third thing we experiment with is the background colors. So any layer that I add on this screen, I can decide that either it looks so our background color, if it is the brightest white, we cannot make it any more bright. Our top layer, which will be a little darker, less brighter than white, and the design type we will call it is recessed. So it will be means pushed in or indented, or in simple words, pressed inside the surface. Because imagine that the light is coming from a source and this surface is the brightest. For anything that is lighter, it means it is within the wall, so the light cannot reach out to full extent in on it. So that's why it will be a recessed design. But if we choose to decide to go opposite way, like make the background a little gray, and the top layers that we add, like let's say search or any card, they will be white, which mean brighter than the background. Then the design type will be raised or elevated, means they things are coming towards me, and then they will need to cast a drop shadow. Let's figure both of these out. So this one, I'm gonna add this word here, recessed, and this one is elevated. So what happens when we have recessed stuff? So when we have recessed layer, but we have just, what did I do? So I let's remove this pink one. So I chose my primary color, And then my second layer, I just wanted it to have a little bit of blue personality. So from 100, the brightness of white color, I reduced it to 98, and saturation of a white color is 0. I just made it 2, making sure that my hue is selected on a same blue color that I'm using for the as a primary color. Okay, so it has slight grayish blue tint. Now, if I create a component out of it, so let's create a search which will be 48 in size. Let's give it a generous amount of roundness. Now we have it. Now, if we want to have any effect, of course, we can combine it with the stroke, which will be like normal. Strokes don't have any difference at in initial level, I'll say. Let's ignore those that details. So what I'm saying is you can simply add a stroke like in both of these design, that won't be any difference. But let's say you want to add the effects. So what did I say that this wall, like, treat this screen as a wall. So if this color, we assume this is darker than this, means it needs to be indented within this screen, within the wall. So we want the drop shadow to be inner shadow, and we can apply different properties. There are different ways you can do this. Maybe let's give it a small value. Maybe let's give it at the bottom, so here. And we can even add something on the top, maybe make the top. So it depends, if your light is coming from the top, meaning here in this section, the shadow will be bigger. So let's try that. We definitely need to make this lighter. So I'm not messing with color and going more in detail about yeah, I messed up already. So if the light is coming from the top, yeah, actually this should be the case. So yeah, it means we will be using inner shadows and maybe make them more light, but still in our intended or recessed design will have inner shadows. Uh, you will see a lot of variations in this, but for this particular case, we are just talking about background and how we can make sure we know all the colors and figure out all the details related to that. So I'm just telling you the basic rules then. Now, so this is the second layer, means this background is my background one color. So any layer that is right on the top of it and requires a differentiation, I will add this background. And then anything on the third level, if I want to add another layer on the top of it, I would create this background, which is more darker. So let's see where we might need it. So there are 5 elevations, as I mentioned in the material design. Honestly, you don't need to go in that much detail. As a beginner, you will definitely need them after you have worked for a few years, and you will realize you need more colors to create states and etc. Especially if you're following material design 3 guidelines, because it prefers elevations over the shadows. So, but still, in for a beginner, you can start with 3, 1, 2, 3. So what I want to do now is, one, I can have a filled color, but anything, let's assume we need a layer on the top of it which has maybe an icon or any filter. So we would want our color to be in this color. Sorry, our layer to be in this color. So this will be my third layer. Now this is the recess design, but now in the second case, what I figured is that my background is rather grayish. So how much of a gray color it is? So let's see. So this is the fill. I just made the value 97, and since these H and S values are like, S value is 0, it doesn't matter what value of H you bring, it should be same, nothing changes. But if you start adding saturation, you will need to change some more details in the color. So right now I'm just making it pure gray without any tint. You can add a tint like we added here, no worries in that. So this is my background color. Now background, w- if I want, imagine again the light coming from here, so any element on the top which is towards me will be receiving more light, so it will be lighter, so here we have the white color. So in this situation, we do run into this, like you see, only have two layers. If I want to add another layer on the top, we don't have any color brighter than white. And if we make this more dark, so let's actually try this. So I'm bringing another layer within it, making a copy here. So let's make the background a little more dark. Try 95. 95 is still sweet, but after this we are just making it look ugly and dirty, for the like dirty will be the right word. So let's keep it 95, and if I do that, I can have my upper layer of in this color, and the third layer can be F. But you see, this is like not very clean design. So our background can be uh, gray to a certain limit. Usually I have like support 98, 97, and honestly nothing lower than 96 actually. Yeah. So what happens now? What do we do? So we need a layer on the top of it. So of course, anything that is towards us in this elevated design, it will be more white. That makes sense. Now what about this one? Now what about if we want something on the top of it? So in this case, we will just simply choose the background color. Again, means this will have a recessed properties over it. And for this kind of design, honestly, you will need more. Actually, I mostly use borders. Borders are a bit controversial. People usually think they make the design ugly, dirty. I'm using the wrong word, not ugly, dirty or crowded. So I usually use that because for me, these colors, they do blend a little too much. So we would want a little bit of stroke here to separate these design. So not the tinted one. I am going to select my light gray colors. You see how much of a differentiation little this border creates. Now the color is not blending. So I want my these layers to be separated, and that's why I combine this with shadows. Sorry, strokes, hair strokes, hair shadows. Okay, now, and you can see that you can have any primary color selected, and you can pick up the background colors just based on that in both of these setup. Now, you will see that if you go on Facebook, pick up a screenshot and then try to pick up its background color, it has a slight blue tint in it. Blue is the, brand color that we know for Facebook. So let's experiment what happens if we don't go pure gray and want to add a little bit of tint in the background. So you see here, in the color wheel, we divide our colors into two types. There are a lot of things we do in the color wheel, but this is one of them, that we divide our colors into warm and the cool colors. Warm colors are the yellow, orange, red. You can remember them by referring them to in, fire. Cool colors are blue, green, and purple, associated with earth and warmth and greenery. So they have certain vibes. Of course, we divided them. So if I want, let's ignore this section actually, so it doesn't look confusing. Just focus on my background color for now. So what I did, I just went ahead, I chose a white color, and then I added a little bit of hue. So for this particular case, I'm using orange, which is like 30, around 30. You can move it to 40. It will still be a golden yellowish orange color. So right now, I am using 30, and saturation will add that a little, um, you know, tint that we are adding. So let's remove that tint and see this became just gray instantly. So what we want to do, we want to have this for saturation. Uh, of orange. Now here I have selected my blue color again with I just changed the value of hue to the 203, which is the range for blue, and the saturation is 4, and this is background color, and I have added the 100, like I have kept both of them 100. Let's see why. Because if for the background color I change this to even 95, this becomes, you know, a little dirty. So keep this clean. On this area, we would like to keep it the brightness to 100. So that's the first thing we did. We decided our background. So that's not actually the first thing we do. I want to actually, why I'm going this way in this example is I want to show you how to match the background colors with your primary colors. So right now we have, you have seen what colors I got myself. What do I do if I want to create the layerings on the top of this? So one way is that my second layer, this is my first layer background. So I can simply just add uh, now for the upper layer a little bit of gray, like moving this towards bottom because it won't be applied to whole screen, but on a smaller elements on the screen. So I made this a darker version. You can read the code and apply it to yourself just in case if you can't see the difference in the screen, that because it's a screen recording. So here I'm using 34 and 96, and it has like a recessed uh, thing, like vibe on it because it's darker. And here I have done like made the saturation to 6 and again reduced my brightness to 92. And you can see there are three levels of recessed colors that I background color I chose. But if I want my design to be uh, elevated, I will choose white color as my front color, and then again the same rule that either I can decide to have a little darker color and two levels on the top, and the top one will be white. Not a very good thing to do with the, colored background. So I prefer that on my third layer, third elevation is same as the background colors if and when needed. So I've done same things for both of them. Here I have made my blue color to be 6 and 97 for saturation and brightness, and my top layer will be 6 and 92. Okay, so now we have it. Let's see what colors combination can work with this. So if I have my warm colored background, I need that. If I keep this for this warm setup, the background is from warm colors. So if my primary color or the action, any color that I'm using for my actions and for brand to stand out, if that is also from the back warm colors, I personally think they don't like create that much contrast as a cool background creates with a warm color. So you can try it. Maybe a different shade of red will work fine with in this case. So maybe if our red color was this, again, actually, you know what, for actually red color, it's not working. Meaning I'm not writing it liking this red on a warm background because both have warm setup, and same with this. Now let's go to this golden orange color. So golden yellow actually. So here again on a warm background, it sort of looks good, but it doesn't create enough contrast. I would not want to go with there. Um, but for this one, cool background, I can see it is creating enough background. Here again, on a warm background, since the orange tint was used, the orange is pairing well because this whole screen will be giving orange vibes, just like Facebook gives blue vibes. So since they are coming from the same, like exact same family, they make sense. Here orange and blue create a very good contrast. I like this. Maybe I would want to make my orange a little darker for it to work. Again, not all colors we just simply know. Like you choose a random warm color and random cool color, and you will like, okay, they should work. Not always. Some colors work better, and some work just don't work better. So, in my opinion, red is actually not working with both of them. But if I were to compromise, I would like to continue with this one, not this one. So sometimes I maybe this one maybe it will is causing a little bit bias. But yeah, orange is suitable on orange, and orange is also working on the cool vibe. Now next, blue. You see, blue are working, blue is working on both of them, because here it has the same background, and here we are actually, there is another reason here. So if you see the color cycle, a color wheel, orange and blue are opposite to each other, making them like making enough contrast so they look good. And on color wheel, if one color, two colors are opposite to each other, they mostly look good. Mostly means most of the cases, honestly, that's the best color combination you can choose. Now for the green one, you see green is, this green particularly that I chose is not working with this one. So probably we want to make it a little darker to make it work with it. So I will say, I'll show you all the examples I have added. So my point is that you can select a primary color that will be used for the action items, and then you can either have a same color background with light. So this is blue, this is also blue, so you can use that. That's one way. Or you can have this gray setup, second option. Third one is you can have it white. Of course, if you are confused, just keep it white. So that's our third option. But the fourth option is that you can go look in the other direction of the color wheel and pick up some color and create a contrast, like this blue is creating with this orange. So blue and green, they are not creating enough contrast, in my opinion, because they are right placed right next to each other on the color wheel. So we need to make these colors more darker to actually do what we want to do. And honestly, for if I want to pair them, I will have to make a more this small decisions. Like I would want, you see, this blue, and if my secondary color also is using green color, they will blend a little too much. We don't want that. So we would want a darker outline around it. So now this passes on the background. So you need to decide um, your colors like this for the background, and then you need to experiment what you can do. Another thing I have done, so in these two backgrounds, shadows, like they are just working fine because the background is not very attention seeking, because gray and white, they just stay in the background. Now for this one, you see, we already have a tinted background. It is grabbing our attention already. So we will have to experiment with the shadows a little more wisely. We definitely can't use these same colored shadows. So we will need to get rid of them, or make some grayish one, or some color that is matching this orange vibe a little better. So you can see that if you explore shadows, you will notice this detail, that the surface something is on, and the surface that is casting the shadow, they both have some effect on what color of the shadow we get based on opacity and the texture of those elements. So that's why another detail we need to worry about if we need this background tinted. By the way, this may, I think I just sounded like I'm trying to say that you shouldn't do this, but I'm just trying to highlight that these are the details you will need to be working on if you choose to go this way. Feel free to experiment. I absolutely love these experimentations and figuring out new combinations and stuff. Okay, now those are the basic ideas that we can do. Now let's make something interesting. Here what I have done is again my best color, pure white, and I have just brought myself a blob. It's just a circle, and I have given it the fill of primary color. So imagine blue is the color that I have chosen to move forward with, and I just gave the same color there. Then I went to effects and applied this layer, the color effect, and I made it the value 100. Like it's a lot. By default, it comes in 4. It doesn't matter like at that level. So we need to make it noticeable. So let's make it 100. That's what I did. And now I can place this blob in various ways. You can place it here, you can resize it, you can maybe increase, mess with opacity a little more. Right now, I've just placed it in the center. And one more thing you can do to it, another effect we can add is called noise. I think you won't be able to see it in, I'm zooming in just in case. So you can have a light zero point 0.5 size or maybe 0.25 sized noise. Okay, that's a lot smaller. Zero point 0.5 is good, and I can reduce or increase the density. I want it 50%. And the color, we can change it to another color maybe. Wow, this looks good. So yeah, you can mess with that, or even layer blur should work fine as a lone person. Now here, what you can do is that you can either choose the same primary color and create the blob from that, or you can do this. So in the color wheel, blue is placed near purple, and the magenta and those colors, and the other side has green. Now you can try to create that vibe where you are choosing the colors right next to each other, because they won't be placed, like I won't be placing this blob right below my buttons, because we need to have enough contrast between the background and the actionable elements. So that's why the placement will always be away from the actions. So we can have either our purple color here, so maybe the darker one. We can also have our green color paired with it, which is coming from other side of the blue. Like they are placed right next to each other. So I'm just bringing those colors, not this green. This green. Make it green. So yep, here you can choose to pair the colors that are placed right next to each other in the color wheel on this design. And what happens if you choose a color from the opposite side? So on the color wheel, we have orange on the opposite side of the blue. So I'm going to choose my orange color. And honestly, it also works. Now you can get creative with this blob. So what I added is I selected 3 blobs, and I have given them the same color. So here we have blue, and blue is, let me show you what I'm doing. So blue, then purple, and this pink color. So I just placed all 3 of them. Now I'm gonna select all these 3 layers and apply the same amount of blur, like 100, on it to create this effect. Now you can choose any one of those 3 colors, and though they can be our primary color. So you can see I have made the pink button and the blue button. And honestly, for this one, you can also try to experiment with the light background, which can be white or a little bit blue. Both are working fine. Now here is another type of background. This is very subtle to notice, and I absolutely loved it when I started noticing in the background. So a few time back, when I used to use Facebook had this light gradient in the background. And then there was another app, I forgot the name. It was another social media app for the gigs or something. S something. And the name started with S, and I noticed the background there, and I was like, yeah, this is good. So what I'm gonna do is in my what I just went, I applied a gradient. So here we apply the gradient, and here we can see that this, or the bottom, it is blue. Let me show you by making it a little darker. And here we have this green. So awesome. You see, this is blue and this is green at the top. Now what you will have to do is that in the screens that go bigger, we don't want to stretch it, so we will have to apply another um, vector. So I'm gonna copy this properties, paste them here, and I am going to bring this into my screen, and I'm going to keep it fixed. So it doesn't scroll. This will be my background. So when I make the screen scroll, my gradient, I need to change this color. So this stays fixed. Let me show you by applying that. So I'm going to prototype this. This screen needs to have this color. This needs to be fixed at the bottom. So it doesn't scroll. And the elements need to be on the top. Now if I scroll it, play. Yeah, the background should stay fixed. So meaning if I just made the screens bigger, the blue color, like at one point I will start seeing this only green. We didn't want that. That's why instead of applying of this kind of gradient on my uh, screen, I applied a layer which was a separate vector. So yeah, that is another detail. Now this is something that I did from greenish colors. You can see my gradient is from the like this green neighborhood, green and blue. Both are cool colors. And the other side we can also try this with the our flaming colors, the warm colors. So I'm doing this. Actually, the purple one is near orange, near blue only again. But what you need to focus on is this. So when selecting the gradient, I am always choosing my colors which are near to each other. So this blue with this blue, or maybe this blue with this purple, or purple with pink, or pink with or red. So that's what I'm doing. So this is, if you can't see it, you can on the shared screen you can see this is blue. Maybe I'll try to make it a little darker for you guys to see, but this will be noticeable on screens in a really neat and cute way. If this feels very dark, what you can do is here, I have reduced the opacity of my fill, that from this screen I have reduced this opacity to 50, which is bad because I make a copy here and place it somewhere. We shouldn't means our background layer screen should not have its opacity messed up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add another fill, bring it at the background, make it FFF pure white 100%. So now the gradient is applied on the top of this layer. Now you see the background color changing, it not affecting it. So that's another thing that you can do. Again, for the color combination with these gradients, you can pick any of these colors that are being used with the gradients, or you can go on the opposite direction of the color wheel to pick up your colors. So here I am using pink and purple, sorry, purple and blue. So we can have blue or even purple as a primary color. And or you can go to the other side and pick up some colors which lie opposite side of these background colors on the color wheel again. So this was a second level. So let's do this third level of design. So what happens in these screens? So these kind of screens, we definitely these first three, you can't do it throughout your app. That's a lot of colors, but you can try them when you're onboarding screens, maybe pop-up tops. So here you see this kind of section you can create, this kind of section you can create with these. And then for some items that you need to highlight, maybe this kind of design actually can be done on landing pages and also on the onboarding screens where you need to highlight the features and stuff. So this again, you also a splash screen where you have to animate your logo and stuff. So I'm keeping that in mind. Now I will have to show you what how I made this. So I just empty this. I got myself a screen. Now I went on a platform like Color Hunt or Adobe Color, and in Adobe Color I just went to find some vibrant colors, and you can also search for them on Color Hunt, or you can also search on Cooler, COOLER, and you can just bring up yourself like this palette, and I just gathered that palette, and you can choose one of these. This will require you a little bit of experimentation. Here you can see these don't have a lot of vibrancy. That's a random name. The colors are not vibrant because when you see this uh, swatch, if we divide it using plus sign, this section, the top right section, is the only section which has the vibrant color, and it is for true for all of the colors. So we should try to pick our colors from those sections. we I'll show you what I did, like where I use this, and you see what happens. And these are the vibrant colors here. So another, you can make like this kind of palette should be preferred, and this is from the same series. I just absolutely love the dark and like the um, mess beautiful mess related colors create. So these are all pink tone, and peach, from peach to purple and pink, so they look good. And these are creating enough contrast. This yellow is of course a little messed up, but the other three are creating some contrast. So you can try these colors by picking up just the palette that is matching your primary color. So if you chose that I want a purple color, so you go search for purple colors and pick up this kind of palette and bring it here. So you can do that. That's one way. You need four and five colors. Like that's the point. You need four and five colors. Now, if you want to get creative, I'll show you what else you can do. So let's start. How do we do this? You can try like this. Create different shapes which already are there. So I'm just adding a whole bunch of shapes that I can add. Let's give it 5, make it big. So this you can stack. Another way that is more creative and gives you more control is this. So you choose the pen tool and you just become an artist. Amazing. After you have drawn one shape, you can click escape, because otherwise it will continue to think you are working on the same shape, and we don't want that. Remove the stroke and give it a good fill. So you can I'm gonna create something like this. So I'm gonna pick myself a beautiful orange color right here. So I picked up this orange color, gonna copy this fill. Then I am going to again select my pen tool, and I am going to I am trying my shape to be within this screen. So let's do this. To Yeah, I'm gonna give it a fill. Same orange color, I did that. And then I opened this fill color, sorry, this picker, and I am going to move the color to right or left. So the colors are in the same range. So again, you will see that the gradients that look beautiful are usually they are made from colors that are placed right next to each other. So that's the rule I'm applying. Again, we need another shape. That's a lot of dots I added. Let's remove this, give it a fill, pick the color, this orange one. Now move to the other side. I'm going yellow. Maybe I don't want this to have any background colors. You can edit this shape by clicking enter and you placing like this. Now I am again, you can again create another shape. So let's try a simple one this time, and give it a fill of yellow, and then change it a little golden here, and another one more shape. I wanted 5. I hope that's not too much. Hmm, sweet. Remove the border, add the fill. Maybe I want the red again at the bottom. or maybe I want to try a little orange red. So again, all of this series, like series of colors that I used are orange friendly. So now I'm going to select all these layers, and again I'm going to do the magic of applying the layer blur. How much? Start from 100. If 100 is not good, try 200 actually. So you see how it looks good. Wow, 200 looks good. A little too blurred out, maybe 150. Hmm. So actually you can go up to 300 based on how big of this shape is. For this particular size, I think we are working fine with this. I think red is becoming a little too much. So I added red color on the top. I'm gonna copy that in the bottom, but make my top color. You know what? Let's keep it like this. Actually, it looks good. The orange layer just needs to be brought up on the top, so it has that orangish vibe. And other thing you can do is to select all these layers and reduce a little bit opacity, so they are, we see the mix there. So just little bit, so you can see what we are doing here. And if you see any white areas, you can make the screen in the shape a little big. So you see here, I see a little bit whitish vibe, so I'm just making my shape a little big. So maybe I should make this a little smaller. Yeah, you can experiment until you get the actual result that you want. We're gonna come back to this, but this is how we can create this kind of shape. This color palette, I use this color palette, some lighter and some darker, and the rather muted color. You will see, I'll show you what happens if I remove my effects. Why the layer effects are not getting selected? 1 minute. So if I remove my effect, you will see that these five colors are placed. Now they are, we'll try to create another one like this. So if you don't want your colors to be from the same palette, I'm going to give all of them one fill. And then what I'm going to do is select one layer at a time. So let's keep one of them yellow. The other one, you can go a little far like this. So I have this green. Selecting next layer, I have now in blue. So none of these are now from this, like they are jumping one color. But what you need to notice is that I'm not messing my saturation and brightness. I'm just messing with the hue. Pink. I hope it turns out beautifully. So I turned off the layer blur previously. I'm going to apply that again. And we have this. We might want to tweak this a little bit, and we definitely think the opacity is not working with it. So if you jump between colors, the problem is that when they mix up, they create this grayish color. That's the problem with the gradient if you jump color. So here we don't find that gray thing. And maybe for this particular case, we can also try to apply noise, so that gray color is hidden behind that. So yeah, this makes it better. But yeah, that's why we try to pick up colors that are placed right next to each other. You can see the difference. We definitely don't like these gray lines. Anyways, that's another way to create a gradient. Now let's try another way. You see these gradients, so these are a little more meshed up. There is a software you guys might know, Photoshop, sorry, Adobe Illustrator, and it has its own tool to create the mesh gradients. Figma don't have it, but you see it has something more interesting. So these two I created using a plugin in Figma, which helps you create something that you can create in Illustrator. But these are not SVGs, meaning the export is PNG, which is the problem. You cannot edit it later. And this is something I brought from Prepic. If you go and search a mesh gradient, MESH mesh gradient, and you will find plenty of options, and you can download from the ones that are already available for free. So quite a few ways to create this. So let's create something like this. I'm going to go near my color palette, this one, and I'm going to open my plugin. And in the plugins and this widget, I am writing mesh gradient, and there are quite a bunch of them. here. So I'm just as a very good user, I am going to choose the one which has a lot of uh, like most people users, sorry. So this one, if you will search for the first time, it will show you it has 370 something users. So that's why I picked this one. You can try the other ones too. So it defaults with the, it creates like gives you a default one. Actually this one is also good, but I want to, if you want to increase the number of the gradient, then the mesh points, the dots, the points, you can increase them like this. Don't do it initially. It it will be like you don't want a lot of colors, and you don't want colors. There are not much colors for to be added in the mesh gradient if you do that in as a beginner, trust me. But feel free to experiment. If you come up with something interesting, go ahead. You can also bring out the lines, so to see what happens. Now I'm gonna go and pick my colors. I copied this, selected this dot, and I want to paste that here. Now I'm gonna go pick the other color, close this one, paste my second color here. This is my third color, and I selecting this and paste here. Then I want to select this color and this dot and add my background color this. So you can see that it has some other colors applied to it. I'm gonna turn this off and see that I applied these four colors on these four dots, but here in the color panel you can see that it already has some colors applied to the corners. So you can simply improve that, like paste the colors there on the sides too. I want to introduce a little bit of yellow on the corner, maybe gold color. So yeah, I brought that, and maybe I want this on the bottom. So the four corners, all four of them are showing the colors here. So I just added, oh, that's a lot. Maybe let's make it light. Yeah, sweet. Let's close it. Now we have some. Now what we can do is select this, and you can see more four dots, and you can make it bigger, make it smaller, and twist it. Twist is my favorite for the mesh gradients. You can place it somewhere here, maybe here. Let's do it here. Let's twist it. So drag it, and I'm just dragging it, and to give whatever vibe I want. So if you explore enough gradients, you will see that they have these creases and the lines. That's what I'm trying to create. Want my pink color to be a little near this, and this to go away. Huh. Yeah. So you can do the amount of work you need to get the result you are expecting. So here, when you are done, here I generate button has 1x. You can select a rather large file. I'm gonna select fx and generate. So when you generate it, you get this result, which is 2560 sized rectangle that is created with the selected mesh you created. So, yep, these are the ways that you can do things. Now, what are other interesting things you can do? This. So I am going to create this, bring this, and I'm going to group all of these, and I'm going to call it background. Maybe try to place it in the center. No, let's not do this. And this is the logo I think we should be applying here. So let's keep it here. I'm going to start a prototype, and I'm going to call this 01, make it 02, like 02 screen. Now I want to, so one, you can try to just do this, rotate this, and then go edit your shapes, drag them here, maybe this one a little here. Just try to avoid the whitish area if that is ever caused. So I definitely want the orange to have more space. So let's do this for, yeah, so good. So this is the other state. I'm gonna create three states. So let's 0, 3, and let's rotate it one more time. So that's why I grouped all of four them together, and let's twist them a little more. And then again, if you see some yellow area, white area, you can remove that. And also the shape changing will create the animation that you are looking for. So enter. What I'm doing is selecting something, pressing enter. As I see the dot, I just change these things, these shapes, maybe here, here. So let's animate this. So I added the prototype here. I'm gonna click this, and on after delay of 1 millisecond, doing smart animate, I do this again on after delay of 1 millisecond, smart animate. And then I'm going to connect the last one to the start one again on 1 millisecond delay, 1 millisecond delay on smart animate. Let's play what happens. Yeah, that is very, it has a certain kick in it. I don't want that. So I'm gonna play with some animations. I will be back. So, so you see, I experimented with a few interaction details here. So here, changing the delay to anything bigger. This 1 millisecond is the smallest interaction you can create in Figma. It means you don't want any breaks and pauses when the next screen comes. We can't touch this. Smart Animate is the best option we have. Here you have quite a bunch of options. So you can select gentle. It was fine, but I didn't like it much. And then I selected linear. So I'm gonna go select all of these three. All three interactions should be on linear. It is more smooth, and the kick that we were getting in between the screens, that will be gone with this. So let's try what happens there. So you see it is all still reversing to the start. Let's fix one by one. So I need the last kick to be removed. Like when I get 3 to 1, it just rotates back to the first screen, and you know, it moves into other direction than it should be. So we need to fix that too. So the other problem is this duration. So there are two things left. One, we needed to remove some of the breaks that we're getting, that we fixed with the linear setup. Now what we are going to do is, so here you see I grouped all these vectors. In this screen, I have this vector bg, and I am going to flatten it. So why the problem you see is that here it has a rotation of 0, here it has a rotation of -56, and here in third screen we have a rotation of -97. And from when we come here, it just spins in the opposite direction. So one thing we can do is select all three of them. Yeah, only three of them are selected, and maybe let's try ungrouping them. And you see the anti-style rotation comes back. So I'm gonna control C, and I'm going to select all of the BG layer and flatten them. Here again, separately flatten this. So as I flatten this thing, the rotation goes to 0. So now you see the break that was causing it to move in the opposite direction, that is gone. Now it is just a little too fast. So let's fix that. The third thing we need to fix it. I'm going to go to prototype. In the delay, I am going to make all these interactions to, let's say, 800, and see if it is okay. Yeah, but I don't like uh, the liquid effect. It's missing that. Increase it to 1200. Yo, this is good. 1200 is good. Let's try increasing it to 1600. Yeah, 1200 and 1600. I like both of those two options. I'm gonna keep it to 1600. So here, this is the delay. Delay means the about how long after the next screen, is invited. But this duration is for the animation on how long the layers need to will take to animate. So you can use these kind of gradients to add to the backgrounds, and you can also, this is the basic, like you have experimented with this, you can bring this all three of them and create a component separate and animate them separately and place that wherever you want to if you are experimenting with this kind of layout here. So you have whole bunch of sections that will read a background, so you can just have a component ready with all the animations and interactions ready and just place it here like this, or maybe like this, and even like this, and that will make your work very interesting. And the one last thing is, so if I copy this, don't it is good to experiment with these details. So I'm gonna pick this one. This is very sweet sized. I'm gonna resize it to slightly bigger than my screen. Control X and place it within my screen, center align it. Now I'm gonna do the same. We can do the same with like this. So I'm gonna make a copy, rotate it, maybe even move it here and there, rotate it more, even make it bigger where needed. And you can also try to reduce the opacity. So let's sorry, not opacity, the layer blur. So let's apply the same layer blur stuff here. Cool. And apply the noise. See, like it doesn't, unless somebody goes and check your actual layers, they won't notice how did you got this. So you will have almost same effect. You can now animate in the same way. So that's another thing that you can do if you end up becoming creating a nice gradient using that mesh gradient. So that would be like interesting to animate. Same um, settings for the prototyping will apply. Try experimenting with after delay 1 millisecond, smart animate, linear, and 1200 to 1600 millisecond duration. And yep, enjoy creating fun backgrounds. See you guys in some other video.